I would like to tell you guys two very different stories that led me to the same conclusion and advice that I'd like to leave with you. When I was born, the doctors told my parents I had hours to live. My organs were failing and a machine was breathing for me while doctors worked feverishly to keep me alive. 9 months later, I was diagnosed with a hemolytic anemia called pyruvate kinase deficiency, or PKD, an inherited disorder that affects the survival of red blood cells. The average human's red blood cell lives for about 120 days, but mine only lived for 2. This means that my body is working extra hard to regenerate these blood cells. 2 years later, my sister was born with the same disorder, and my family made managing our health a top priority. PKD is a major focus for our family and shapes our shared experiences. PKD has been difficult to manage, but it makes me, me. I've had over 150 blood transfusions in 18 years, with the first one being when I was only 2 hours old. From the ages of 6 weeks to 5 years old, I traveled to Chicago's Children's Memorial Hospital to receive blood transfusions every 3 weeks. Then I had a major surgery to take out my spleen and gallbladder. A spleen is supposed to filter your blood, but instead mine was eating my blood and growing in size. After the surgery, I no longer had to get frequent transfusions. However, if I get a fever of over 101.5, I have to go to the emergency room to get blood drawn to see if I need a blood transfusion. Sadly, I had a blood transfusion during homecoming week this school year, but I am still able to participate in extracurricular activities like golf and hockey, but it does lower my endurance level. Despite many difficulties, PKD has led to so many opportunities. When I was 6, the Make-A-Wish Foundation offered to grant me a wish. Because driving to Chipotle in a garbage truck was off the table, I decided to go to Paris, France. My family and I were able to spend 10 days in Paris. We climbed the Eiffel Tower, saw the Tour de France, and went to Disney World Paris for a day. Paris was the most memorable trip, and to this day, a picture of me in front of the Eiffel Tower adorns the wall of the office of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. PKD isn't all fun and games, though. My family and I needed support. One organization that continues to be a significant help to us is LifeSource, a private, non-for-profit organization that manages blood donations. Even though I cannot give blood myself, I still wanted to contribute to LifeSource's mission, so I shared my story. My sister and I raised awareness about blood disorders and appeared on TV and radio to ask people to donate blood. We were featured on over 100 billboards with our slogan, "Thank you for our blood." My sister and I gave a face to a relatively unknown disorder. When I was born, there were only 200 known cases of PKD, and now there are over 2,500 cases around the world. My sister and I were selected by a research team from California to participate in interviews about our lives and how PKD has affected us physically and emotionally. This allows our other families who have younger children to get firsthand information and be reassured and inspired by how we have adapted to living with this disorder. The frequent hospitalization part of PKD hasn't been the most fun, but my experiences can help a fellow person with PKD, and that means a lot to me. I cannot see myself living without PKD, nor would I want to live without it. I know that sounds surprising, but I've had so many positive memories because of my disorder, and it's part of who I am. The second story I'd like to tell you is about something that happened this February. My family went to the city to enjoy the auto show and celebrate Chinese New Year. Little did we know that when we were eating dinner, someone was breaking into our car. When we got back to our car, we discovered the broken window and glass everywhere. We looked in the car, and despite the $3 in change my dad had in the middle console, my backpack was gone. My computer, iPad, Nintendo Switch, with 5,500 plus coins in Mario Kart and the gold glider unlocked. My psych book and notebook with all my notes and papers from the year and calculator were all gone. This really disturbed me, and I thought that it was all my fault they broke into the window and took my things. I was really mad at whoever took my stuff, and to this day I still think about where everything is. I also hope that whoever took my Switch appreciates the fact I'm so good at Mario Kart and only had 2 things left to unlock. It took me some time to realize that everything was going to be okay. It was only things. Thankfully, we weren't there while anything was taken, or else this would be a slightly different story. As Dwight Schrute says in an episode of The Office, things can be replaced, Phyllis. People, human lives, however. My dad was able to get me a new laptop that night and graciously gave me his iPad he no longer used, and I bought a new Switch and Mario Kart game. Everything in the end worked out to be fine, and if you're curious, I now have 2,400 coins in Mario Kart. So the reason I wanted to share these stories is because I want all of you to cherish life and embrace the people around you. Always look on the bright side and have a positive attitude going into something. Make sure to be in the present moment and know that you can always replace things, but people around you in your life can never be replaced. So as my mom says, make the most of it. Thank you.